Jay, how's it going, buddy? Nice to see you. Yeah, we're talking about the Cota race. Final stage coming up. Very interested to see what people think so far. I personally I love it. I know a lot of people might be of the different belief, but I come from the NASCAR Penny Series, so we race quite a bit on the road courses and street courses. We've done it in the rain. Um, Obviously, the Cup guys got a lot to learn with how you race in the rain. There's things you do and things you don't do. You don't go full bore down a straightaway like that. That comes from an experience I think you could have seen at any of the races that have taken place at CTMP, that the NASCAR Penny Series drivers don't go full throttle down the straightaway. Like, that's just not what you do. But I would say that the racing itself has not been awful. I think actually I thought it would be a lot worse than it is. So I got the race on here in the background, and I got to applaud first off the fans that have stuck around in that pouring rain. For me, Jay, I think the top three kind of, I think you'd put it Cindric in there, but I'd say that you're going to get, those are it's going to be either Busch or Elliott, Cindric, or maybe Allmendinger, who wins this race. I did predict that we would, Tyler Reddick would win this race. I'm a bit surprised actually how Reddick is doing, considering that he's not known as a prolific road racer. But yeah, I would definitely, I would definitely say that the racing's been pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Jay, I'm interested kind of what your opinion is. What you've thought. Cota itself as a circuit, I was very skeptical of. I didn't think, I didn't think it was going to be that great. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it, man. I'm enjoying it. Fighting fighting a headache, a really bad migraine right now, but it's just the pollen in Ontario right now is really bad. And you know what? Jay, it took me a while to warm up to it. I think originally, I think IndyCar and F1, the races were awful here, but I feel it actually is much better for NASCAR because it has such wide runoffs. And I think it is allowing for a lot more excitement. And the fact that we've kind of had a race, I think my opinion would be very different if it was dry the entire race. But even then, the trucks and the Xfinity both. I mean, Xfinity was a bit more of a stinker yesterday, but the, I think it really has to do a lot with the production. I think the production quality has been awful this entire weekend. I think Fox has got no clue how to run this race properly and how to showcase the race as good as they could. It is very clear to me, you know. Appreciate you, Jay, for hanging out, man. Can't have caffeine. I got some uh, medical issues that I can't have caffeine, so causes a bit more of an issue for me. But thank you for tuning in, my friend. I appreciate it. Um, enjoy the race, and see what we can get up. Maybe that 8 will be back in victory lane. It's been a while, so lap 35 here. I gotta say Kyle is probably the safest bet. Elliott's pretty safe too. Cindric, um, Cindric is going to be somebody that I think we're gonna need to watch, because I think Cindric he's got no championship hopes in here. He and AJ really could go balls to the wall here. They could go and do something really dramatic to go and win this race. I think my man Tyler Reddick is also somebody else that he's got nothing to fear here. He's leading down real slow. I love this turn 1 and 2, man. I think it's such an exciting up the hill. Love that they fan out. This is a very, very exciting turn. I think, again, Cindric there going past Elliott, man. Cindric he's going to be a factor, I think, when it comes to the end here. What's going to happen, though, is I think they kind of would need a bit more rain if, you know, I'm surprised Elliott's struggling here on this restart, though. I and Larson even got a car sliding off there. They missed it again. God, they have been so bad in this race. Like normally I don't like to crap on, because it doesn't really help. But the amount of just lackluster production quality that they have had this entire weekend is, they got Briscoe there. They're able to show him, but they completely missed that guy going off on the S's. And it annoys me to no end that they are missing. Oh, Allmendinger, man, he almost, and there goes Brad. I tell you, man, he is so done. He's like Brad's not a road course racer. I think we know that Brad's not a road course racer. I will say I'm pleasantly surprised. God, they have got to do something with they keep doing this, cutting away from the race to show a full-size replay. And unfortunately, what they do when they do that is then they take away from the current on-screen action. And they've got the ability to go side by side. Why they're not doing replays side by side with live action is beyond me. So Kyle Busch, I think, is going to be the guy to win this race. He's been the best of the best since he showed up this week, and he's been the only one really that I feel has the most balance and seems the most comfortable out there. Even Cindric, to a degree, doesn't seem like he's able to keep up with him. And now it looks like something happened. I don't know if their timing and scoring is off, but what about this Chris Buescher guy and Roush Fenway looking much better? They're talking, of course, Bob Pockrass put out that it sounds like that Keselowski to the 6 is done, like it's going to happen. And I think that benefits nobody more really than Chris Buescher, because I think Brad, with his leadership, not saying that Newman doesn't have it, but I would say that Newman maybe isn't as fresh up front as Keselowski is. So, but I'm very curious. I really like that idea of moving and having Brad Keselowski in Roush Fenway equipment for next year. Cindric, to me, is going to be a force in this series, especially with his road course prowess and the fact that they are going to be adding more road courses. I think it puts him in a position where he can be competitive enough to win. Yeah, you got to watch that, Reddick. Don't make something stupid. But I mean, if you can go back to those bigger wrecks that they had earlier, I don't think it came down to. I just think visibility was a problem again. I'm going to vehemently deny that. I think it was stupidity on the drivers' parts, racing like flat out like they shouldn't have been. It's common knowledge, man, that when you race in the rain on a track like this, you don't go full out. You've got to tamper. I mean, just watch a Penny's race in the rain. You'll see how slow those drivers and how careful, meticulous they drive. And that's how you see drivers like that be successful. They're not the ones that are going flat out. Now, in this case, I think Truex, why that happened was Truex was moving over to the left and slowing down. And what he could have done is slow down. Yes, did exactly what he did, but move over a little bit further to the left. You wouldn't have had that problem. But I think the biggest issue, and I think maybe something just happened to Buescher and they missed it, is they've got to get lights for these cars when they're running road races. Obviously, I don't know if we're ever going to see a Cup race or NASCAR ever run at night on road courses with lights. I think that would be really exciting, but I don't know if the technology is there. Like if the teams are willing to do something like that with the new car, even the new car would be something very interesting to see. There's talk on social media that the new car's rear diffuser is really going to help in a situation like this, where if there is rain, it's not going to cause as big of a rooster tail, which is great. Like I said, we have to remember one thing: NASCAR really hasn't done a full race in the rain, from the beginning to the top. And again, every circuit is going to be different. I think if you go back to the Roval last year for the Xfinity Series, they should have halted that race a couple of times, and they did. But anybody that said that the racing has not been good today is flat wrong. The racing has been fantastic. What I think has happened is that Fox has failed to showcase a lot of it. The only issue that I do see with the circuit is it's the same kind of situation we saw on the iRace that they had on Wednesday, and that is the leader gets out because everybody else is battling for position, and there's no way to catch them. Which, that's part of road racing, is that, you got to be able to catch them. Consistency means everything. Well, Kyle Busch he's been in another zip code all year, all weekend. He was the best of the best yesterday. He's been the best of the best today. Stenhouse goes around and looks like James Davison. I don't know if Davison's car may have quit on him. It looks like it has, and that could bring out Corey LaJoie just missed the corner too. It's interesting because there's some of the guys that you thought maybe like would have been a little bit better, like Ryan Newman, for example, who's been in the series since 2001. So he's driven road races, probably a lot more than some of these other guys. Not really been very good this weekend. I mean, he was awful in the iRace that they did. The guy who surprised me is Larson. I don't remember Larson being that good of a road racer when he was driving for Chip Ganassi. But again, the racing's been very, very exciting. I mean, the circuit itself, I I didn't think there would be a lot of passing and a lot of excitement, but it does very much strike me as very similar. Okay. Well, Quinn Houff did a dumb move and then dumb move again. He went over the curb and ripped the front of the car off. Big shocker there. If the first time you're listening to this channel, I appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you give us a like, subscribe to the channel. We'll be here. Try to be here almost every week. Obviously, we've kind of had a couple of weeks that where we haven't been able to race. How you doing, Mark? Appreciate you tuning in, my friend. I tell you, those cars you guys got running for this season, those look beautiful, and can't wait to see the Herniac Hall Motorsports boys going out and racing. I'm itching to go and see you guys race and try and get some sponsorship interested in helping out that series. I love what I see from Jim already, and I love what I see basically from there. I think the quality of the racing is going to be great. We just need to get more companies, and I think it's easier to get companies interested in your series, way more than Pinty's. Pinty's, the money is way too stupid. In reality, it's so expensive. RS1 is a much better model. Your guys, much better model. I'm not going to go out and say that I won't support Pinty's racing. I love the Pinty series so much, but there's other stock car racing in Canada now that I think has a better and safer model. And they do racing like this. I'd be interested to see you guys actually take on a road course. Screw the having to have a road course car and having to have a short track car. Just being able to run would be cool to see you guys do something. You guys on Toronto. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, the race, like I said, I've been pleasantly surprised. I was not expecting it, to be as overall as interesting as it is. We absolutely love that we're getting to see some racing here. And this is the one thing that people aren't remembering, and that the bitch on social media is about how unsafe this has been and how boring the race was, and Harvick going off. And I'm a Harvick fan. Harvick going off about how unsafe is the most unsafe he's ever been. Shut the fuck up, Harvick. You're full of shit, okay? Because you guys race on the super speedways and act like a bunch of morons all the time. Oh, Reddick. Oh, man. Oh, that was my pick to win, too. Damn it. Looks like I'm not winning that Land Shark. I'm not winning that Land Shark Lager prize pack now. Fuck. Damn. Damn. But great stories overall with this race right now, despite, Kyle being up there and Larson. I think Larson's going to catch him. I know it sounds a little crazy, but he's already knocked it down to four seconds, and it was at 6 a couple minutes ago. So, but I've got to be honest with you, anybody that's tuning in right now, I want to hear what you guys what you guys think, not just about the race, but I think the coverage has been awful this week. The one thing that made NASCAR so much more fun years ago was, it's just, the Shannonville, eh? Mark, you would know a little bit more than me, but Shannonville, they could probably run a race or two right now, wouldn't they? At the track, I know is not really in the best of shape right now to be able to do something like that, but damn, they got to do something around here, because we're losing tracks left and right. And, I don't know what's going to happen with, say, Kawartha. I know Kawartha is available for rental, but, the amount of people that bitched and complained about this track being unsafe and racing in the rain being unsafe clearly have no fucking clue what they're talking about. I understand, but I'm so sick of hearing people complain about new stuff happening in racing. Like, it needs to listen. They aren't bringing in corporate money. It's not happening. There's There's nothing. And I wanted, first off, Mark, I wanted those sunglasses. That was the biggest thing. Part of the whole Landshark prize pack was I wanted to get those sunglasses, man. Those things are beauties. But yeah, I my biggest issue with all of this is that people are complaining that this is not safe, yet are perfectly fine when we wad up and almost kill a driver at Daytona a couple years ago. Uh, this was down to execution. This was poor execution. NASCAR not really know what they're doing. Once again, they don't really know how to put on a road racing event. I mean, Mark Urban was talking about this on Twitter the other day that, NASCAR just doesn't really know how to do this. And it's true. I mean, they've got to have people that know how to put on road racing events. They've got to take the proper input. Do I think that this race needs stages? No. Do I think that they need to have multiple people or multiple race events prior to it? No. Do I think Cup guys should be allowed to run in the Xfinity and the Truck Series and get a leg up on their competition beforehand? No. It's not realistic, right? If you were to go to Indy, okay, run an IndyCar race at Cota, you're not going to have IndyCar drivers running USF 2000 races to get a leg up on the competition, right? That's what they did here. I mean, I liked what I saw. It was cool to see, the BJ McLeod teams and JD Motorsports and all them having guys in their cars. But oh boy, Allmendinger and Chastain. I think Chastain's going to wreck him. He's going to wreck him. He's going to wreck somebody. Chastain, man, he's having his best weekend that he has had since being in the Cup Series. Jesus. And Allmendinger going, I mean, I expected a little bit more out of AJ, but this has been the weekend for the Ganassi guys. They have had one hell of a great weekend. Both Kurt and Ross have run really well, and Kurt also not really known as a road course driver. But I'm telling you, man, I don't know if Kyle is saving something. Oh, Chastain put Busch wide. McDowell coming back into that. I like seeing McDowell, but yeah, Chastain, man, he doesn't care if he's got a teammate. He doesn't care. He'll push him as wide as he has to. Again, though, I know I've gone back and forth here, but my biggest problem is that people saying that this is, it's not safe, that this is not safe. And Kyle coming to pit. Elliott's coming to pit. Here we go. Yeah, and again, it's not the safest thing, but it's, if you go and you say that the races at Talladega or Daytona are just as safe, and bitching that, we wadded up a couple cars. No, we wadded up a couple cars because people didn't know how to drive in the rain. Plain and simple. A lot of people say, "Oh, this is dangerous. So can't we just cancel this, or can't we just finish it?" No, you know what? No. And it's the same stuff we got from people complaining that Bubba Wallace didn't do an interview. Have people not watched motorsports or sports at all before? It's not just him that doesn't want to be interviewed. They don't make things, and like I said, Fox, man, the coverage, I think, has just been bad. Their whole coverage this year, it's been very lackluster. The excitement level just not really there from the crew. I think they really need to consider when they do the road course events, and you just look at the difference between Formula One, the way that they start their broadcast, even just the intro, the musical intro introducing the drivers, complete badass. Obviously, NASCAR not able to do that this year because of the COVID stuff, but they've really got to think about trying to put a little bit more effort. And I think that's why we see a lot of kind of a big failure in terms of being able to introduce and bring in new companies and new sponsors into the series is that there's just not really an effort, I think, on NASCAR or their TV partners. Their TV partners, I think, fail the sport way more. And, it would be a very big crime if somebody were to win this race, a surprise winner of sorts. They and what I mean by that is it'd be definitely different if Cota was not raining. This race would have been. I kind of feel it would be worse if it was. I think we saw that yesterday in the Xfinity Series. The dry maybe isn't as exciting, but there has been a ton of passing. I don't feel like they've focused on it enough. They've focused a lot on showcasing the same cars. Is one of the problems they've had at some of the other races this year is that there was battles. But like right now, they're focusing on Kyle Larson out in front, but there's battles in the middle of the pack that they could be focusing on. Racing on road courses can be good. I think where NASCAR might need to consider what they might need to consider is the really big road courses like this one, Sonoma, Watkins Glen. Change things around, change the layout once in a while, and then change revenues. I know Matt Weaver actually posted his kind of like made up schedule, and his made up schedule I loved it actually. It was really cool. It was, put in some really nice, effort, at least. Right now we're kind of just in a holding pattern. It seems like what we've seen, but 2 seconds, 3 seconds for the lead. Chastain, man, I can't believe Ross's run today. I've not expected this from Ross Chastain on a road course. And even Kurt Busch either. Kurt's not a road course guy. He has won, I believe, on a road course. I think he won in Sonoma maybe for Penske. If Ross Chastain wins this race, that would be a fucking miracle, first off. But it would be another one of those surprise winners this year that would make Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Keselowski. I don't know. Keselowski won this year, though, didn't he? But it would make these guys nervous. Almirola would make him nervous. Bubba Wallace would make him nervous too. So, and even if McDowell does as well, it puts him in a much safer position because he'd have a second win. So I think we can probably chalk up, Reddick spinning. He's more than likely he's out of it. But I think your top, Kyle is still Kyle Busch or Kyle Larson. One of the Kyles is still the odds-on favorite to win this. Again, if it's the first time tuning in the channel, we appreciate you coming on. Definitely, man, join if you want into the live chat. We'll answer any questions and talk about your comments on the race. If you can, give us a like, subscribe to our channel. We have series content. Unfortunately, we're not racing yet. We'll be focusing also some hopeful interviews with guys from the APC Late Model Series, as well as the National Stock Car Association, formerly known as the Ontario Sportsman Series. So we definitely have interest in that. Seen a couple of great guests that we've had on our show, and We're planning on having even some more. Got an interview tomorrow that's supposed to drop with Matt Weaver. I haven't actually gotten to it yet. I've been under the weather all day, but I figured, let's do the last 25 laps here and talk about the race here. Larson out right now. He's got a pretty big lead. I don't know why my hair is stuck to the Velcro here, but Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, AJ Allmendinger, Chase Briscoe having one of his best runs. McDowell, Bowman, Hamlin coming back after he's had a pretty rotten weekend. Alfredo running in 15th place. That's pretty good for him. I think there is a pretty big surprise that no James Davison. Or not James was. I'm telling you guys, Ross Chastain is flying in that 42. He is absolutely flying. And maybe that's what he needed, right? Is he just needed some clean air to get out there and be friggin' crazy Ross Chastain. Obviously, a strategy call. Probably see Chase Elliott back up there, and Joey Logano's going to stay up there. AJ pitting. DiBenedetto, after the contact that he made with Byron, I figured he would have been in a worse position. He's looking pretty good too. So we definitely have some stories here. I think they just said it's raining a bit harder now. So if you would have told me though that this road course race we would have Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, and Kurt Busch in the top three, never would have expected that. And I'm telling you, man, Chastain is flying. Yeah, I would definitely say if it stays green, Kyle Busch is in the catbird seat. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see another caution though, unless it gets like crazy visibility and somebody's car breaks. But I think right now you got a bunch of people they're dead set on getting out of Texas right now. It's interesting. I think Cota is going to be one thing, but I think when we go to Road America, open up a bit more surprises. Here comes Larson. Larson's going to pit. And Chastain's going to stay out. Busch comes in. Logano is in. Briscoe is in. I'm surprised why Chastain did not come in. Bowman stays out. Hamlin and Byron, Priest, Buescher. And then Kyle Busch. Man, I think Elliott is the guy that's technically second. Well, Larson got ahead of Logano. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to probably storm and it's going to rain pretty severely. And I'm pretty sure that Bob Pockrass had mentioned that there's potential lightning. And if that happens, it's pretty well game over. Like I don't see that they're going to attempt to restart. They could very well, but they're more than likely going to call it if there is and if there does end up being lightning. Um, yeah, Bush, he's got about 3 seconds on Elliott, and that's your top two once pit cycles are finished. But you got to wonder if people are going to maybe try and stay out and see if the weather gets worse, because then they're basically waiting for lightning. But I tell you, man, Kyle Busch is flying as well because he's got those fresh tires on the 18, and all these people in front of him got a pit, so he's basically spanking everybody. I mean, I would have loved to have seen a bit more competition, but again, we have to remember one thing too, is that this is the first time that the Cup Series is racing here, and you can't expect that it's going to be perfect the first time around. I think a lot of people don't really remember when we did go to places for the very first time and how races were. If you remember Kansas, there was a wreck on the first turn of the first lap when we went there in 2001. Casey Atwood, John Andretti, Ricky Craven were in a big wreck. And I think Atwood started like third. And, you know, it's going to take some of this time for teams to get and drivers to get familiar with it, because it is the very first time. So we see the JTG Darty cars, or JTG and Buescher. I keep mixing up Stenhouse and Buescher today, but Eric Jones going to pit as well. So I'm really wondering what the plan here is for Chastain, because the more and more he's staying out, he's not going to be building. There's a lot of water on the track, though. Like, there's a lot of water. I'd say if Hamlin comes out of this with the top 5 finish, top 10 finish, he did a fantastic job. It is not going to be easy for them to keep this up. Plus, you got to give it up to all those fans, man, sticking it out in the pouring rain all day long. Like, good on you. Busch, he can't really afford to get held up by his teammate here, because Elliott is right behind him. And then just behind Elliott is Larson. There he goes. He's going to get by. Hamlin's going to go real wide there. But yeah, here comes Elliott. Elliott's going to pull right to the end. Yeah, no real competition there. Elliott's close. Not past Hamlin yet, though. And that could be a bit of a problem. I mean, it does look like the track, though, is drying out, because that right-hand side of the racetrack, left down on the TV screen, looks pretty dry. So, but here, again, it is so wet at the bottom of the hill. So now that you have Byron, Busch, and Elliott right next to each other, be very, very interested to see what happens here. This part of the track that where Chastain is so incredibly wet. I'd be pulling for a Chastain victory, but he's coming to pit right now. So Bowman's going to come around, then Byron, and then it'll basically be, I think, Busch, Elliott, Larson, and then Logano. Curious, though, what they do. Are they doing 4? Maybe they do 2 tires, do something surprising, but doesn't look like it. Oh, they screwed up the right front. Ah, that's going to hurt him. So Bowman's leading, Byron pits, and here's that battle for the lead. Elliott is right there on Kyle Busch. And I think most people suspected that Chase Elliott was going to win this race. I didn't pick him. I didn't think he really would, but and look what he's done, right? Not real shocker. I mean, Elliott's been the king of the road courses, and if he wins again, will people be upset? Will people say it was a boring race? Be a very interesting debate for sure. Let's see if we'll get our good buddy co-host Grain Bun. See if he's gonna tune in. He's getting dinner ready for his family right now, so gone to break here in Canada. The Pinty's Street Dog commercial. Tell you, I've had some of those Pinty's hot dogs. We had the original ones, not the street dogs. Really nice stuff. Elliott's gotten by Bush for essentially the lead. And Larson's getting by Hamlin right now. I mean, there's still quite a bit of time left, but I don't know, guys. I don't know if we're going to see any real difference here. I've got to think that it will be a pretty decisive battle between Elliott and Bush. And, you know, after a season where I think we were a little unsure what was going to happen with Kyle, and where he struggled, he looks to have turned that corner. You know, man, I'm so interested on how this is going to finish and how it's going to play out. Yeah. Yeah. Chase Elliott has basically taken the lead here. Majority of people that are Chase Elliott fans will be, you know, super ecstatic. Obviously, most popular driver. Not really shocking. It's shocking when you consider he really wasn't in the lead most of today. I would much rather see rain on a regular. Of course, we're going to Charlotte next week for the Coke 600. Coke 600's not really been that great. Just racing at Charlotte has not really been that great. Gotta go up to that 750 horsepower package again. That would be kind of nice. Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, I think, are going to be the ones. No surprise, Jeff Gordon is going to go with Chase Elliott. Shocker. Yeah, 4 to 5 road course races, pretty well confirmed he's going to win this one. Unless something happens. I mean, I don't see a caution coming out. I don't see. It seems like everybody's kind of calmed down. But Larson, I mean, has caught Kyle Busch. So not sure what happened to Kyle. Surprised that Kyle's faded because he was in such a good, you know, position. So there's 20 to go. Plenty of time. That's probably about like 45 minutes to an hour, probably. Elliott, I mean, they're showing Chastain. Chastain's in 8th place. I would venture that they are going to need a caution. But I think Harvick, he's done. He doesn't want to come back to a road course. SHR is out to lunch this year. They have had a miserable day. They lost Harv and they lost the 41 of Custer in pretty big accidents each. I'm telling you though, like Larson, visibility is going to become an issue again too, and I think maybe Bowman is staying out just for that fact that maybe they'll throw the caution. I mean, Elliott's getting away from Busch, that's pretty clear, but Larson is right there. So I'm not really shocked by who we see up front right now. Little surprised at the lack of speed that we've seen from Allmendinger since the beginning of the race. Same with McDowell has damage, and McDowell is outrunning Allmendinger right now. So, yeah, 19 to go. They said it's I mean, the rain clearly is still there. It's picking up. It's getting real wet. Well, here comes Larson, man. This is set for second place. It's technically not on the scoring pylon, but Kyle Busch has been the best of the best this weekend, man. He really has. I think though, if they're going to do this again and race potentially in the rain, you're going to need lights. Brake lights, more specifically. Again, another situation though that I'm telling you, they really need to consider starting these races earlier. Oh, so late in the day. It's almost 7 o'clock here in Ontario, and it's exhausting. Well, Elliott's caught Alex Bowman, and he's passing him right now. So I guess we can say that this is pretty safe now that I mean, 3 of the top 4 are Hendrick Motorsports. As Bowman comes to pit, Elliott, unless Kyle Larson is a ton faster, I don't really know if anybody can get up there. I don't know what's going on. Does Hamlin still have to pit too? Because I don't know how Hamlin got up there. But hey, credit where credit's due, man. This 9 team needs a win. It would be another new winner this year. Hamlin is pitting, so he did need to. So I guess that would drop him. And Chastain is up to 5th, but he's 19 seconds from the lead. So that's a very, very big gap for him to try and catch up. Busch, Briscoe, Allmendinger, McDowell elevated to the top 10. I bet you anything, though. Kyle Busch wins by 7 seconds. It's a huge problem. Chase Elliott wins by 7 seconds, and it's the greatest thing ever. I mean, right now, 7 seconds from first to second, 20 seconds from first to 5th, 34 seconds from first to 10th, and you're going to get NASCAR fans hating it. Reality. Would the race have been better if there was no stages? Yes. Yes. But now the track is so saturated, I think the drivers are I don't see really anything changing for the next 18 laps unless, again, we have a catastrophic wreck or some sort of a mechanical failure on a car and that it stops on track. Like, unless there's a caution, I don't see this really changing. Logano in 4th. Chastain is catching Logano, but again, 20 seconds, like he's not there. Yeah, Elliott not really sure on the fuel situation. And Bush might just be doing that. Bush might be just taking it easier because he knows he can't make it on fuel. And we're getting to a point, like if the track gets much wetter, because it's much more wet than it has been. I would venture a guess that we're going to have a car off or two. But they haven't shown the rest of the field. They've only been showing the top 3 or 4 drivers for like the last 10 laps. Like I want to see some of these like they're showing Stenhouse, Byron, Busher all within a second, yet they're not showing that. Same with like 6th to 9th. They're all within 3 to 4 seconds of each other too. Whoa, Kyle. Yeah, it's starting to get you can see it is really wet now. You can see there's puddles. See the standing water? Yeah, so Dylan and Stenhouse are still staying out. It's definitely interesting here because you can see how much the cars are starting to dance around a little bit more. Yeah, it is very, very wet. Now we are starting to approach Roval territory from last year with the amount of moisture on the racetrack. Not that again that I'm opposed to it. I think that it is. You've got to be very, very careful. And Bush is coming in because he's not safe on fuel. And we know Elliott is not safe on fuel. Larson and Chastain, though, very well can be. The only way that I can see Chastain being able to stay in this race, though, and have a chance at winning over Logano and Larson is if the caution comes out. Well, so that Bush needed tires. So I gotta wonder, like, what are they gonna do? Is Elliott's team gonna risk it, or are they gonna come in? I mean, don't think any of us would have really said that Larson or Logano would have been our first choices to win on the road course today. I think Elliott would have been up there, Allmendinger, and McDowell, but I don't think we're really opposed to it, would we? Yeah, the back straightaway is where there's going to be problems, where Elliott is now because of the puddles, and there's a ton of water. But again, this is what I think why I really like this is because it's putting it way more into the driver. It has nothing to do with the car, the aero. This is all about driver prowess. This is all about being a solid driver, being able to navigate through the puddles and navigate through the visibility issues. And if you go back in the day, man, Cart used to race in rain on road courses and open wheel, you get soaked. To see Bush back out on the racetrack, he's got Dylan and Reddick. Reddick got in front of him. I mean, the visibility has gotten so bad. I am expecting there's going to be a wreck. I would not be shocked because we're at the same point that we were when we had those big wrecks. Yeah, Kurt Busch did the exact same thing that Cole Custer did. And Busch has really buried it. And that's exactly what any road course driver would tell you what you have to do. Watch the Penny Series, people. We've seen this with Alex Tagliani, one of the most experienced road racers in the world. Okay. He did the exact same thing that Kurt Busch just did. He came and he hit, it was at CTMP. He hit the water, and it was standing water, and it is literally like glass, and you just slide. And that's exactly, I mean, he was so close to taking out his brother right there. And it's exactly the same thing, because the front tires, they're not going to do anything. You carry too much speed, and this is what's going to happen. You see, he's locked it up. And this, again, this is not a product of it being dangerous. It's the drivers don't know what they're doing. You know, it comes down to this. They don't have the experience of racing in such severe rain conditions. So it looks like it's dangerous because drivers are not slowing like they're supposed to. Again, you were going to watch, if you watch a Penny Series race, you watch V8 supercars. V8 supercars have raced when it's literally a monsoon outside. And if you watch, they let off very early. Obviously, there's visibility issues. That's going to happen. Of course, we go to a caution. But that's what you do. You take, you know, you don't go pedal to the metal. You have to stay to one side of the course. But what was happening is that there was drivers that were letting off really, really early. And then there was other drivers that weren't letting off at all. And that's irresponsible. Again, if you're new to tuning in, we appreciate it. If you can't subscribe to the channel, give us a like. We, chat about NASCAR. Normally, the NASCAR Penny Series is what we cover. We've had NASCAR Xfinity and Cup, not Cup, and Truck Series drivers. Also, we've interviewed them. Looks like, oh my gosh, Cindric spun. So that's when you know it's really treacherous out on the track right now. Is when you get somebody like Austin Cindric and they've thrown the yellow for more than likely for visibility. This changes a lot. Whether it's for protecting Chase Elliott's win, wouldn't be a huge shock, I don't think. But the visibility was just getting to be so much that they're going to complain about it. Again, I think for a first try, it wasn't bad. But obviously, NASCAR needs to make the decisions to ensure the safety of its drivers, which they didn't do earlier. Again, what I'm saying, what I've said since the beginning of this live stream, we talked about this entire race so far, is that it isn't an issue of road racing. This is an issue on the functionality and the execution of the road race. They knew it was going to run. They knew it was going to rain. Did they think it would be as bad as it has been? No, probably not. Yeah, the standing water, that does make it dangerous. But once again, it does come from, yeah, and this is the heaviest it looks like that the rain has been. Yeah, they're at a cell right now where I think the race is going to end. I really think so. I think that they're going to end it because they're going to bring everybody to pit road, and I think it's actually going to get, because they haven't reached the core of the cell yet, the core of the rain cell, and when they hit that yellow, it's going to make it virtually impossible for them to see. And yeah, Jeff just basically said, I'd be surprised if we go back racing. I mean, it's 6 o'clock. Was it 6? Is that 6:15 or 6:45? 6:15 p.m. right now, Eastern. Chances are, they're going to go until probably 7. Uriah, thank you so much for tuning in. Holiday, appreciate it, man. Got Logano for the win, eh? Buddy, I got to go with Chase Elliott right now because it looks like they're probably not going to go back racing. I don't know if they're going to have enough airtime and if they're going to have enough visibility for them to feel comfortable to let them go racing again. It just seems like if they were gonna let them go to the end, they wouldn't have thrown the caution flag. But they threw the caution, so they're not interested, I don't think, in bringing the cars back on track. I do think that this is probably the last yellow that they're going to throw, unless they do the Titans again and they do the Titans down the backstretch, and it is enough. But the amount of standing water that they're going to have around the entirety of the track, and this is going to happen at a track where you do have elevation changes. There are going to be parts of the track that are safe, parts of the track that aren't. And yeah, I don't know if we've got enough. See if they bring them onto pit road or if they stay out. I don't really have the volume up very high so I can talk, but 14 to go. I don't know. Chastain 4th, Allmendinger 5th. I kind of wonder what it's been like for the fans too. I mean, that being outside in the pouring rain has got to suck. I mean, I've done that for a couple of races. Jakarta in 2019. Jakarta in 2019, man, we got dumped on twice, and then we had to come back and race on Sunday. And I actually got windburn because the Sunday it was so windy outside. Yeah, they're bringing them down pit road. I got to go with the race probably ending, and I think Chase Elliott's going to win this. I just don't see them having enough time. I don't on a Sunday night. I think they've had 2 red flags. It's been delayed. It started late. Like there's no way around it. It started at 2:30, and the race itself. Why not just do 50 laps from start to finish? Like I wouldn't be shocked, but to me, yeah, the more that the commentary is talking, they're making it sound like this is probably going to be done, which I'm not shocked. I mean, they have a window to get the race in, and NASCAR and Fox more than likely would want it finished by 7 o'clock so that they can have their normal Sunday night programming. I mean, they're talking about it's a standing water problem, and if you take a look, you'll see that there's not a ton of people wearing like the crew members aren't wearing. They don't have the umbrellas up, and they don't have their ponchos and stuff. I think overall the quality of the broadcast was crap, honestly. Much better today, but I think the truck broadcast was brought down. I think Andy Lally was amazing. He was so good. Yeah, I gotta say though, Uriah, I think is done. I do. I think that they're gonna call it. It just seems like they would call it, but Who knows? Maybe they surprise me and they just put those Titans on there and run the Titans across the start or the straightaway like they did earlier. And maybe they do. But the red flag's out. The drivers are already out of the car. I mean, it is lightly raining at the track right now, but I just got to think that they're done. They're done for the day, and NASCAR would. What looks better for them? Chase Elliott wins the first race at Cota, or somebody else? And I think that it would look really, really good for them to have Cota with Elliott being the first winner. And it's tough. You can't really tell. It doesn't, in certain parts, it looks like it's pouring rain. So I think that they're done. Really, I do. Yeah, Boyer's talking like he thinks it's done. I would be in agreement right now. Like I don't think we're gonna be waiting very long. You see, there's fans that are packing stuff up. So yeah. Yeah, no, I'd say this is Chase Elliott's race to lose. Kind of funny how they waited to throw the caution flag, and you're going to probably see this on social media. I would imagine that NASCAR waited to throw the red flag until after Kyle Busch had to pit, and wait until, and then you find out that Chase Elliott's low on fuel, and then they throw the red flag. But I mean, it's racing, man. This is what happens, and you know, I'd be very interested to hear what people thought. Um, on whether or not this was a success or a failure. I think we had kind of an idea earlier about how this could have happened. There's a lot that surprised me, really. I was not expecting to see the amount of passing that we saw at Cota. I thought it was very similar to Circuit Icar. Now, Circuit Icar in Quebec is a flat road course, permanent road course, or not permanent, but I think it's permanent. Flat road course that um, we had is almost like an airplane circuit, airport circuit, and very, very flat. So if they were to get some of these Pinty Series drivers to be at Cota, I think we would see them be very, very successful. That's why I was kind of hoping that we would have seen Alex Labbe be able to have a chance at running in the rain, because obviously there's familiarity there. And, Chase Elliott has become the quintessential road course racer. He's by far the most successful of the mainstream full-time Cup competitors. The amount of rain that I see that's falling right now, I would venture a guess that they're probably not going to go back to green. 6:25, about half an hour till 7 o'clock Eastern. I don't know if I would see them extend it. I also don't know how much. I mean, Cota has lights, does it not? So I mean, it's really bummed for Cindric and Kurt Busch because they were running so well today. Um, would have been a little bit more interesting, I think, if we saw a bit more road course ringers in the race. That would have been kind of cool to see that, and kind of like what we saw yesterday in the Xfinity race and in the truck race. Tough day though. Bubba Wallace, Kevin Harvick involved in a wreck. Huge wreck that involved Christopher Bell. Obviously, you got to talk about that big wreck that took out Cole Custer and Martin Truex Jr. Now, there was talk, I believe Apocrypha said that there's a part of the cell that had lightning in it. So if that is the case, and they know it's coming, I think NASCAR would be best to call this off. Whether or not we end up finishing this race, I would be shocked, really. I feel it's just a moment of time, and because they keep showing Elliott on screen, and I just don't know if there's enough time and whether NASCAR really wants to. Good run for Briscoe though, 6th place. That's fantastic for him. McDowell 7th. Reddick coming back for 9th. Busch that'd be a big disappointment if he finishes in 10th place after what he did, and was very impressive. But Lumar would be getting a victory. But you're looking at like the track drawing. Now, interesting enough, they don't have the Titans all lined up as one single line. But I don't. Oh, this is because it's the front straightaway. I don't see this as going back. Like this, the track is so saturated now. I mean, we'll see. Hmm. I will say though that the weekend was such a more exciting weekend for NASCAR. I think qualifying and the races were a million times better because you did have qualifying that mattered. And I would love it if we could get qualifying back full time. I think everybody knows. Opinions. William Richard on Twitter. I got to go with him on this one. I mean, I'm surprised if recommended making this race a tick shorter in the future. I agree. I think 50 laps is fine. I don't even think you need to go 55, 60. I think 50 is fine. Go full out. The amount of people that are moving and leaving, I mean, you got to think that it's over. Yeah, Napa know-how, in our completely unbiased opinion, they should end the race. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna. Gotta wonder too what the reaction is going to be from the major NASCAR fans here. Just wait though. Just wait. Let them go to CTMP. These Cup guys. Road America. There we go. Official. No shocker. So they called the rain race early because of inclement weather. Pretty surprising, but not overly shocking. Chase Elliott has been declared the winner here at Cota due to ending the race. The rain race, they're ending it early. Visibility, inclement weather is what they're calling it. Not overly shocking that there was 14 laps to go and they called it. Chase would not have won this race if it was ran to completion. And not overly shocked that they picked Chase Elliott to win this race. Most popular driver. I think out of everybody, Kyle Busch has got to be the most pissed off because he pitted for fuel and then they threw the caution shortly after. Same with Kurt Busch. I mean, both Busch brothers would be pissed for sure because they threw the caution after Busch pitted, after Kyle pitted, and then and of course, after Busch went flying into barely into his brother. But good finish, at least for the 21st place for the 96 for Gaunt Brothers, and Ty Dillon being able to get a finish for them. James Davison, top 30. I'd say that's pretty good for him. Again, though, it would be a different story if this race was run in the dry. So, victory once again. And what I think we can say for sure is Hendrick Motorsports is fully back. Hendrick Motorsports has all 4 of their cars in victory lane this year. What a remarkable, I'm just going to go off camera here for a second. What a remarkable change from what we have seen from Hendrick Motorsports in the last year or so. Whether or not this was a change in really their success because they have Kyle Larson, or just regrouping in the Chevrolets being what they haven't been for the last couple of years. It still is. It's a very, very surprising victory because he was not in a competitive spot for most of the race. So this is, a remarkable finish. We're going to bring in our good buddy, Graydon Bunn here, my co-host. Graydon has been watching the race from his home in Bracebridge, and we just wrapped it up. Not really shocking finish to it, but Graydon, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're feeling okay and that back's holding up. But no real shocker in the end that they finished when they did finish. But I'm going to go out, and I've been chatting for an hour and 19 minutes right now. And I will say I was pleasantly surprised with Cota this entire weekend. I think you and I kind of shat on it when it was first announced, but I don't know about you. It reminded me a lot of Circuit iCar in terms of,
Yep.
I don't even know if it's just because it's got a lot of runoff, because iCar is flat and this is not a flat racetrack at all. But it just gave me that familiarity with iCar, and that's what I thought why LeBay did so well
Mhm.
in qualifying. But what did you have to say about this this weekend's racing at Cota?
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that. Like, I brought up iCar, but there's parts of it that I think it's just the stock cars on, like areas like that, like you say, with lots of runoff and things like that. Parts of it reminded me of iCar, a little bit of like the GP3R flare. I don't know. I do like stock cars on road courses, and if you look at social media, and
Oh
there's the
boy.
people that love it and the people that it's the worst thing they've ever seen. And I fall in the middle. Like I said, I'll stand on the hill, as Matt Weaver says, that stock cars do belong on road courses, and the product can be very good. That said, the officiating, they need to look at how they officiate road course races properly.
Yeah.
And also they paint these drivers to be some of the best in the world, and that's good and fine. But I mean, we're told as responsible drivers to drive according to road conditions. That should go double for race car drivers. There are some pretty crazy wrecks that, yeah, you can't, like, visibility absolutely was a factor there, but there's been some pretty savage dry crashes on road courses too.
Watkins Glen.
And yeah, exactly. That immediately comes to mind. But drivers also, that has to be put on them. They're the ones in the seat. Nobody wants to be the guy that starts backing it down. I mean, somebody has to make that decision, sort of, I guess. I don't know. I haven't been in a race where you're in that condition where it's going to fall on somebody that has to, I guess the leader sort of maybe sets that pace, but nobody wants to give an inch. So they don't want to back out. I mean, it's counterintuitive, but they have to realize, if they are the professionals that they're supposed to be, that when it comes with this, and maybe with more races under their belts, this will happen, that they have to have the presence of mind that they're not racing on dry pavement. Just like when you get the first snowfall here every year, you don't drive like it's 30 degrees in the summer. You proceed with caution, and you still have the same objective to get where you're going, but how you get there, you approach it a little differently, and road course racing is no different. And so all around, I posted this too, is that the officials need to look at how they officiate it better, and the drivers need to look how to execute racing it better.
Those wrecks today, and this is, I am so livid at seeing people post this shit on social media saying it's dangerous, it's awful, we should never do something like this.
It's race car driving.
Shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're the same people that sit there and love Daytona and Talladega when we constantly wad up 30 cars, and we almost killed a driver a couple years ago because that's how we race now on the super speedways. You're telling me that what happened today was not as safe as that? Oh, well, they're all going relatively the same speed. Okay, well, the reason why that happened today was inexperience and drivers not knowing how to race in the rain. That's all that came for. I said it time and time again on this podcast that the NASCAR Penny Series drivers need to be showcased as racing in the rain, because I will tell you one thing, you would have not seen a driver do something that stupid, and I'm going to say stupid because it was. Martin Truex Jr. knows much better than to slow down in the middle of a racetrack and just expect that everybody behind him is going to slow down. What Cole Custer did was nothing short of what I would have expected him to do. He's not a road course driver. He is going to run full out. What you don't realize is just like if you were to ride, Graydon, we live in Canada, we have ice, we have snow. If you do that stupidity on a highway where you just slow down because you can't see, what's going to happen? People are going to run into the back of you, and that's exactly what happened. He also, and I'm not faulting Truex for this, is that he pulled over really kind of slow instead of a quick move over, and that's because of the speed he was going. But you cannot tell me, we've seen Pinty Series races, we've seen road racers do it time in and time out. Hell, open wheelers run in the pouring rain, and you think that they're psychotic. It's the truth. You have to run it at half throttle. You cannot be full throttle like Cole Custer was. What Truex realized was after he hit somebody, but you know what? Maybe I should slow down. Well, the problem is NASCAR considered one aspect of it. Okay. They considered that this was going to be similar to what we had in the past, which is a little bit of rain, a little bit of rooster tails. You can't, and NASCAR, I'm going to fault for this too, because the drivers are one thing. They haven't experienced this, right? Which is shocking that they had no sort of, they had Kyle Tilley and AJ Allmendinger and Austin Cindric. That was the extent of the road ringers they had. Okay. Cole Custer's not a road course ringer. Martin Truex is not a road course ringer. Hell, you and I aren't road course ringers. But we know you have to be smart on a road course. That was stupid. Watch the V8 Supercars. Neil Crompton, I brought it out for my buddy Mark Urban. I said he would have gone livid if he saw the people racing like they did. You have to go slower, and that's where you go to Penny's race. It looks like they're stopped when they're running in the rain because they're going so slow. But what's the similarity between racing at CTMP and racing at Cota? Widespread track. There is some runoff room, but it's got elevation changes.
Mm-hmm.
Same situation. And I pointed it out on this broadcast. We have seen one of the best racers in the world make a mistake that was made today several times. And it's not got anything to do with the race or the racing. Alex Tagliani in that Lowe's car, when he hit and he went off track just a little bit, carried too much speed, and he hit that standing water. I want to say it was maybe 2018. Mm-hmm. He slid and destroyed that 18 car. It's because you're carrying too much speed. It's mm-hmm. not that you can't race it and that it's dangerous. It's that you made a mistake. Now, today, I think that the mistakes were pretty obvious, that it wasn't just the drivers, it was on NASCAR as well.
Yep.
But Graydon, is this a deterrent?
As I said, and I don't think overall it's a deterrent. It's very apparent that the schedule is ahead of the vehicle. I mean, this track in particular seems to be very much with the next gen car in mind. Like, I'm very interested to see a road course race in the rain with this next gen car. With the, like, when they're talking about rooster tails, I'm not an aerodynamicist, but maybe the diffusers that are on the back of the car will help dissipate the spray.
Yeah.
Just the way the cars are built, like these racing in the rain is an afterthought for this car. I mean, they're a chassis with a body hung on them. They're not watertight. Mm-hmm. They're a pain in the ass in terms of the fog up inside. Like, you have so much heat with the engine and everything coming up off the floor that it's just a constant fog in the car because of the cold rain coming in and everything too. So there's those challenges, but again, I bring it back. Like, our Pinty series does it right. You look at our series is not known for being extremely high tech, but you look at the way they rig up the windshields that have the defogger wires in the windshield, just like a rear window in a lot of cars too. They have a lot of great ideas. And in terms of how the drivers execute how they approach the race. That's part of being a driver, is identifying the track changes. NASCAR drivers do it all the time, except they're going from sun to shade or whatever. But this is just a broader part of that skill set. You need to be able to identify when there's so much water on the racing surface that you're going to hydroplane if you go at it like it's dry. Back it down. And yes, the fans, some of them, I saw them complaining how the pace gets back down. But as Matt Weaver also said today, start watching. Like, you have to take each race for what it is. Start watching them. They're fighting the track conditions now. Watch them trying to keep control. That's where the race is. They're trying to either maintain, defend position, and move forward. And sometimes that's the goal, moving forward and getting every position you can, all while trying to hold on to the car and keep it underneath you. So, I mean, it's compelling, but in a different way. If you want it to be, you have to just see it for the purity of it. I think it's great. Today it exemplified what's wrong with the officiating and how much the drivers need to learn this discipline, because it's not it. And that's in their defense too. This isn't normal for them. This is a learning curve. So everybody just needs to reserve judgment until they get this learning curve sort of underway.
Look who did it best. Look who did it best.
Yeah, congrats to Chase Elliott, by the way.
The drivers that have experience in road course racing or in sports cars that have raced in the rain before. Okay. And that's what I'm saying. Listen, Xfinity drivers, Cup drivers, Truck Series drivers, we have a series in Canada for you. Practice. Come up and run the NASCAR Penny Series, because they're not easy to drive. Okay. Now, it didn't really work out for Noah yesterday. He kind of probably is sick of Texas and wants to get out of Texas forever. But I think you can definitely say those like Austin Cindric, who's run road course races, Justin Haley, who has run Trans Am. They know now what you have to do to win races and to run competitively. Sam Mayer, in the Truck Series, she's driving me crazy, was amazing in that race. Sam Mayer has a ton of experience now running Trans Am cars. Sheldon Creed, Trans Am cars. You have to expand the horizon, because it's those vehicles that are going to help you. Now, where I thought the real weekend was, honestly, Graydon, I think Fox sucked this entire weekend.
Agreed.
They were god awful. They did not. You can't compare, but I'm going to. Look at the difference between Formula One broadcasts. Look at the difference between V8 broadcasts. Look at the difference even between Indy 500 pole qualifying today, and compare it to how that race is broadcast today. Fucking embarrassing. Okay, this is you're supposed to be the top series of NASCAR, and they promoted this like it was a joke. It was awful. And I'm sorry, I know that they love Jeff Gordon, and I know that they love Clint Boyer, but today, neither one of those drivers could talk about the experience of racing on Cota, because they don't do it. This was an opportunity. Get fucking Andy Lally in there, because he was awesome on the truck broadcast. I have never learned so much on a truck broadcast than I have. And I mean, you and I have been tweeting about him all weekend, and thank you, Andy Lally, because he actually did like those tweets. But Andy knows what he's talking about. Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. I'm sorry, Clint is not a road racer. Trying to have him explain to us how to race in the rain was ridiculous, because you could tell he had no idea, because he's never done it. So again, I think you open the border up. You've got people that could help. JF Dumoulin and LP Dumoulin, JF, Andrew Ranger, these guys are actual instructors. Yeah. They teach road racing.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see, like, if any of those guys, like, yeah, you just named off about like the Dumoulin brothers, Andrew Ranger, Kevin Lacroix, like any of these guys, DJ, like put any of those guys in a cup car or like any of the top 3 tiers down there and give them a crack at it, because I bet you they'd outrun a good portion of the guys that were running today.
Andrew is so underrated and so forgotten.
He's so good. Like
he does not get any appreciation from NASCAR down south. And people forget he came in and won in ARCA, and he won in what was back the East or the West Series on one-offs.
Mm-hmm.
And they just forgot about him. J.R. Fitzpatrick, one of the best road course racers, and they forgot about him. There is people that can help. Mm-hmm. All those people, Michelle Abate, who was racing for On Point, Trans Am driver. She knows what she's doing.
Yep.
They didn't talk, and this is, I'm sorry I'm going to be bitching about Fox today, but that was the worst qualifying I have ever seen. They did not focus on any of the drivers that could be going home. Not one moment. They were talking all about who's going to make it in the top 12. I don't care. I want to know which of those drivers could be going home. And in the end, one of our favorite guys, Josh Williams, goes home. They didn't talk about him the entire time. They didn't talk about like, this is what I'm saying. Knockout qualifying in Formula One. The reason why it works is because they focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
That whole first session is whether or not they're going to make it into the second round. They didn't talk about it. If you watch the TV product, I had to actually go on to NASCAR.com to see the full leaderboard because they didn't show where people were in terms of their speed. The only reason I knew Abate was going to make it is because I was listening to her radio on NASCAR.com. And you know what made it a great story, Graydon? Was that she was out of it until her last lap. She was in 36th and made a lap, and then the caution came out, and she made the race. Did they talk about that? Not once. It's embarrassing that you have great stories, great battles all throughout the race, and they didn't focus on it. They did this time and time again where you're seeing listen, we want road racing to be successful, right? But all you're doing is feeding into the crowd that doesn't like it by showing Kyle Busch leading by 10 seconds while you have a battle between like 8 guys for one position. They're focusing on the wrong things. And so I said, if Fox really gave a shit and NASCAR really gave a shit, they would have focused the product way better than they did. Now, obviously, rain can throw a damper into things, no pun intended. But Graydon, they have to focus on more than just the top guys. It's ruining the experience.
I
posted that, right?
Yeah, I was focusing on this because it irked me too. Essentially, if you watch any of the like Friday night, Saturday, or no, not Friday night, sorry, Saturday, both the races on Saturday. As far as we knew, watching TV, there were like 3 vehicles in the field.
Yeah.
If you didn't follow the teams on social media, you didn't really, and then basically watch the ticker more than you watch the screen almost to figure out the interval behind who's battling who and how close it is, you wouldn't really know. That's a big issue. And again, I mean, we're about the Pinty series, so I'm going to keep bringing it back to it. Our guys, I think, could really take the Fox boys to school on how to do a road course presentation and an oval track presentation for that matter. But if we want to compare apples to apples, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is a fairly sizable piece of real estate. Joel and his team can set out cameras and have people manning them and doing all the things that need to be done logistically and pull off a great product. Our fields, granted, are smaller than talking about a Cup Series field, but Adam and Dave and Todd and Clinton always manage to give some sort of shout out to just about every car and driver and team in that field throughout a much shorter television broadcast too. So when you put it up minute for minute, I'd say our guys are head and shoulders above the product that Fox is putting out. And that's kind of embarrassing considering the money that's tied up in it.
And they've been doing it since 2001.
Yeah, they should be writing the book on how to do this stuff.
And I don't know if it feels to me, Graydon, like they gave up, like they've given up. It doesn't seem to me like they truly care about putting on a great product anymore, because they used to have a show, a pre-show at the track. They used to have all sorts of stuff throughout the week. And yes, they have Race Hub. Well, Race Hub is the same product it was 10 years ago when it launched. It hasn't changed. It's the same. And that's kind of what I felt about it, dude, is it's a very tired and lazy broadcast now. The ticker is the lamest it's ever been. And I get that the scrolling ticker, was what it was. Maybe it was more of a hassle. But the starting grid, they put no effort into that anymore. They put no effort into building up the back of the field. It's the same people week in and week out, and they wonder why sponsors leave, because there's no focus on their. How many times did Ryan Newman get any sort of spotlight today, aside from when he spun?
Yeah, that's it.
Zero.
Yeah, it's just except for when
he has a full-time sponsor on that car. Did you know who the sponsor was this week? No idea, because they didn't show him. And that's part of the problem, is they're not focusing on more than just the same guys at the front. Battling all throughout the field is so. When I go to a racetrack, Graydon, I can see everything. Why the hell can't I see everything on a broadcast?
Because listen to an MRN, listen to it on the radio. They do a great job.
They're not showing what, and then they wonder why they get criticism. They wonder why people don't like what they're putting on. They wonder why they don't have ratings. I'll tell you why. Because their product is shit. You had a fantastic broadcast team years ago, and you split them up. They did.
That was the beginning of the end when they got Larry out of the booth, man.
When they put Jeff in, they lost the chemistry. And I understand that Clint is in there with Jeff, but to me, it still doesn't work. I don't know what it is, but to me, it just lacks. I think their truck broadcast is god awful. The lack of overall excitement in the booth there was awful. Andy Lally was fantastic.
Yes, he was.
He actually sounded like he knew what he was talking about. He wasn't making it. And that's, I think, a lot of it too. When you watch an F1 broadcast, do they make a joke? Does it come across like it's all for shits and giggles? Or does it look like it's an actual sport? Like, we're serious here. We're fighting for a championship. It sounds like it's a lot of joke a lot of the time. And I understand that, yeah, Larry, Mike, and Daryl were like that back then. Like, they had fun. But there was also seriousness about it, where I don't get the sense from Jeff that he's really into it. And Clint, I'll be honest, I haven't really enjoyed it. I thought I would. And he does have moments where he's great. But do you feel he's actually helped the broadcast? I don't feel he does. They have two guys that aren't really adding anything to it. And I hate to say it, that I don't see Mike Joy's enthusiasm like I used to. He just seems toned down. And that's not what we need. Where you have Rick Allen, who just screams all the time and pisses people off for that reason. I really think that Fox needs to rethink things and look at, okay, we had Alan Bestwick available and we lost him to CBS. They lost him. He's going to SRX. He's doing a video game for them, which comes out in 5 days, which I'm actually really excited about, even though it's probably going to be crap, just like the Heat games were, but whatever. But they're going to have to look to the future. And when I look at it, Graydon, there's only like one name that I think that they're looking at. Aside from Adam Alexander, it's Jamie Little. That's where I see it going. Do you really think that Jamie's going to fit with Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer?
I feel like I like Clint Boyer for this situation. Like I like the fact that they brought him in, but I think it's putting a band, like Clint Boyer's the Band-Aid on the situation. Like you said, I feel like when Mike got his buddies taken away, like, I mean, Daryl was there after, but like when Larry got less TV time, it started coming apart for me with the Fox team. And now it just feels, as you like, to me, Jeff and Clint's chemistry feels forced. Like they exploit the shit out of that conflict that they had. And they just play that to death. Like whether it's in your face, obvious or subtly, they use that rivalry that was just kind of a blip, really. I mean,
but they bring it up.
Yes.
All the time.
And as much as I like, it's something like somebody that you work with or see once or somebody that you see once in a while doesn't mean you want to hang out with them all the time kind of thing. Clint's the kind of guy that I'd like to have a beer with, but I don't necessarily think he's perfect for the booth. I think he brings the energy that is lacking in the booth, but at the same time, to what you said, when you're supposed to be the pinnacle of a sport, you got to bring some sort of business to it. Like it can't all be like a sitcom all the time. And just a bunch of guys like hee-hawing and carrying on. It's got to have that F1 and IndyCar kind of seriousness too.
I'm going to bring this up right now because I'll show you what I mean. And I know a lot of people, listen, I get it. A lot of people don't like Paul Tracy as a broadcaster. Perfectly okay. You know, I happen to like Paul because I do think he does try to explain stuff. But listen, Townsend Bell, Lee Diffie, very, very solid broadcast.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a difference. Okay. We'll watch this right now or listen to it right now. Okay. And just the reaction. I don't know if I have the right one here. Let me just pull the right one because I want it to be, no, that's not what I wanted. I want the live version. Let's see if I can find the live version because all I care about is that live version. Okay. We'll see if this one is the one that I'm waiting for, but okay. So we'll pull this out. Okay. Pull this out. Unity. That's the word. Unity in the booth. Okay. Compared to. Okay. Still not the right one I was looking for.
Heck of a save. He just ran out.
So what I was looking for, and I don't know if I'm going to find it because I was looking for them. Yeah, it's still the replay. I don't want this one. I was trying to find the live version because what you get is a really good, I don't even know if I'm going to see this, but let's see if the old one from the race last year. Nope, that's still a replay. Oh, I can't win with this. I have found it earlier, but was it this one? Sorry. Here we go. Not the right one. Okay. Either way. Unity. Okay. They all react when there's an issue. What don't we see? What did we not see with that huge wreck today? There was no reaction.
Yeah.
There was none. It was, oh, geez. Oh, no. Go back 10 years. Alan Bestwick with that Elliott Sadler call. That makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. Okay.
when you listen or read anybody from the SRX, like anybody, like from Tony Stewart to any of the media team that's been released right from day one, and Evernham too, like there's no hard feelings towards NASCAR, and but there's going to be some sort of racing politics in play. But in all seriousness, I think that SRX, especially with this broadcast team with Alan, like you said too, I think they're going to show NASCAR some things.
Matt Yoakum will be there too. He'll be in the pits.
I mean, they're going to have a really killer lineup, and I think they're going to kind of show NASCAR, like it might help NASCAR sharpen their pencil, so to speak, because I think they're going to have a pretty damn sharp broadcast. They're not going to do this if they're not going to swing for the fences in terms of the on-track product, the media coverage and that sort of stuff. I think it's going to make NASCAR either pull their socks up or at least stop and take a look at what they're doing, I hope.
One person. Now, if you compare it to Ryan Newman, okay, let's see if he'll get a live version of it. Oh, I missed that. Oh, I love that.
Oh, yes. Oh, it almost made me cry right there.
57 laps complete this time by, and look at this pack. Trouble off trouble board. Newman slams the wall. Comes Schrader, and Newman is in the air and over. Ryan Newman, last year's Rookie of the Year, on the rear end, ripped from the car as he slides down the asphalt, and when that car...
Excitement. Look at the difference. Even them at their best. And then what we heard today. It's the same problem that I have with NBC. NBC with Rick, and he just screams, and you don't get the reaction from everybody else. What you need is a booth that does it together. And that was what I was trying to say with the IndyCar panel. They always do it together. It's like they all react at the same time. It's, there wasn't that today.
Yeah. And as you said, the key to a lot of it is range. The Fox guys are way down here. The NBC guys are way the hell up here, but they stay in the same spot. It's bring it down when it needs to be, like when you're calm and talking about stuff, and then ramp up the excitement, because that's it. When you just try to like set the bar, it just doesn't work. And hey, I mean, like we said, we're fans that observe this, but I mean, we're not the only ones. And I mean, it's like there's videographic evidence all over the internet that proves the case. I mean, it's totally different now.
When you have a better graphics package for the iRacing series than you do, like I'm not even talking Fox. I'm talking Podium Esports has better graphics for their races. It's not, and I don't know, man. They used to have like that interact. Do you remember the starting lineup would have the drivers, a little picture of them, and they would like be reacting, and then their car would be. They show the cars when they're doing the broadcast.
Seth Sharp from NASCAR Memories brought that up recently. How it was part of like the closing minutes of the pre-race show, almost, as they were or whatever it was, where it was like a show in itself, where they went through the entire starting lineup row by row. And that was, if nothing else, the driver and the team got their mention right there. The crew chief was usually listed on there as well.
Yes, it was.
And then like, and it showed the car too. Like you said, it shows the car and everything, what it looked like that week, which now more than ever is relevant. Like they should do that, go row by row and show what the car looks like, because it might not look the same as last week. So, I mean, it's a lost part of the program that should be there still and have focus put on it.
And we used to hear this all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, this this was
row by row, and you see them on the warm-up lap, scrubbing the
here's a
tires
perfect
and everything.
example.
500.
Perfect example.
Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, proud sponsor of the Budweiser Polo
Okay,
Award.
look at the quality. Okay, when I show you this, like when you, I'm looking at this going, holy crap! Look at the comparison. This is the for the pole sitter. Okay.
All we got now is shitty comic book filters.
Look at this.
At each Nextel Cup race, Budweiser congratulates Dale Jarrett.
Like all the background graphics, the photo of him forward. Now we get to the starting grid.
There is the last man.
That's my NASCAR right there.
Jimmy Johnson, winner of
Like,
4 of the last
look
Yeah,
at
it's
it.
this.
In row 2, the winners of Gatorade Duelet
I don't even remember seeing it like this.
Row 3, defending 500
The
champ,
helmets, the
Leonard
race
Jr. and
suits,
Jeff
the
Burton,
car.
leader of the Childress team, perhaps.
Like, is this not more relevant now than it's ever been?
In Dodges. 5,
It was so good. They'd have the manufacturer on it, so you're getting more manufacturer show. You're getting the car. I mean, a render. It's a render. That's all it is. Look how many. Get Lefty on there. You know, Lefty would do the cars up for race broadcasts like this. Like when you look at this and then you see what we had today. Really, this is what we used to have. And then you see what we got today.
Yeah, like this is a spectacle. Like this gets you hyped up for the race, does it not? I don't know if that's just nostalgia but.
And what's the difference, Graydon? They're going through every driver in the field.
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, like, if nothing else, through the rest of the race, the driver and every driver and team is getting a shout out right here, and that should still be the case.
All the way to the back, row 19, right?
Yep.
Row 20. So you're getting this is where we would have stopped, right? You got 21, 22. So even the guys that didn't qualify great are getting a shot, and then the guy at the very back.
Yeah.
Like it just look at the difference in terms of the quality of the product. You know, it looks cheap now. They don't seem to truly put forth much more of an effort. Now, I don't know if this is still part of their COVID cutbacks, but I feel like they've been going this way. I don't know about you, man, but I really feel like CBS is going to be the one to take them over. I think from what it sounds like, it's either CBS is taking IndyCar because NBC is done with IndyCar after this year. But the problems that arise right now, Graydon, are very big for racing because either NBC is not going to stick around, or like, can you imagine Fox and NBC aren't going to have NASCAR? Then where do they go? Because the talk isn't that IndyCar is going to be on its CB, and this is the thing with SRX. It's not on CBS. It's on CBS's satellite channel.
Okay.
Their CBS Sports channel.
Okay.
Not mainstream CBS.
Oh, it's not network.
It's not network. So we're following in the same problem that we have with IndyCar right now.
Right.
Is that it's not on mainstream networks. We got Indy 500 qualifying. They were from 12 to 6 yesterday and from 12 to 4 today. Yesterday, they showed 1 hour. From 12 to 6, they showed 1 hour on NBC and none on Canadian network channels. Nothing. So
yeah, this is a problem.
There's talking like Rev TV Canada and what's the other one? Rev and what's the other one? What is the other one? Rev TV Canada and Fox, well, not Fox Sports Racing, not Speed 51. There's another one, basically. Aside from NASCAR getting their own, being on a streaming platform, which I've suggested because I think that's actually the best thing for them to do.
Yes, it would be.
Is to have their own streaming platform like a Paramount Plus, like Disney Plus. You get NASCAR Plus, and you can watch Pinty's, Wheelin', NASCAR, all the training or all the qualifying, all practices, not to mention documentaries.
Yeah.
And consumer content, like say
everything from an hour ago to 70 years ago.
Exactly. Like WWE Network, but for NASCAR. I mean, if you're not going to bring back Speed Channel, that's the next best option. But I think they're so stuck on it being on cable, but the reality of it is people don't watch cable. It's too, I mean, Craig, you and I can
property isn't going to be worth what this
No.
this contract that they're running on now is. So like they're going to have to change it up eventually.
Yes. And I don't know what's the holdup, because listen, Peacock is the stupidest thing in the world because we can't watch that.
No. Yeah.
Right. We don't have access to it. So why NASCAR thought it was a good decision to put, when we had Fans Choice, and I was loving it because I've never been able to see Pinty's races live before. And so Fans Choice came up and was like, oh yeah, we're going to do it. And of course, NASCAR is cool with it, but then NBC comes, scoops it up, and then makes it available for only the US.
Mm-hmm. It's
like,
insulting.
What the hell was that for?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now Rev TV Canada is trying to get onto Rogers. Rogers has basically said no. So we're stuck. I can't tell you how many fucking times I had to watch that. Are you smarter than or smarter? Are you faster than a redneck? Car Warriors and that other a Pink's All Out. Every fucking commercial break during this weekend for racing, they played those commercials. Yeah, every single one. Like, are we not fans? Because clearly NASCAR doesn't seem to give a shit about those above, and even now I have to say they don't really give a shit about the American fans. Because what's going to happen is that those qualifying sessions next year, practice is going to be on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it's going. It's all going to go behind a paywall. So what do? You need to get it your own network. The only problem that they have is that they would have to do all that stuff in-house. They would have to get all the camera operators. They'd have to get all the graphics people. They'd have to do it all themselves. But I'm telling you right now, when Speed Channel was run by Fox before, it was a very, very big success. I love that channel. I will always love that channel. But they have to do something, and they have to do it really soon, because right now the product is awful. It brings it down. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to introduce anybody into it if they make that product look as bad as it did today.
Well, you're right about that 100%, but I mean, that's a fact. You're not doing the sport any favors, quote unquote, promoting it and showing it the way they did, because it's not putting it in a good light. It's not highlighting the competition where it's there. I mean, granted, like we said, the Cup Series competition maybe isn't what it could be, but as I said, the schedule is ahead of where the car is right now, and that's just by design or by the fault of this pandemic. But I mean, next year when that new car is online, it should be. We have great reason to look with optimism at it.
But it's my worry, man. Graydon.
Yeah,
you just said it. It's that new car. Remember, though,
there's a lot riding on it.
That's what we were told about the schedule.
Yeah.
It's all about the schedule. The schedule's going to make it better. This is going to make it better. This is going to make it better. Stop. It comes down to the product. Treat it like a sport, not entertainment.
Yes.
That's the problem. They're treating this like it's WWE, and they keep telling, like, I will never forget when Ricky Stenhouse bumped Chase Elliott to stay on the lead lap at Martinsville, and Darrell Waltrip went nuts and said, "What is it that you don't like about stage racing? Stop telling us that we should love the product. Listen to what we're saying."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're in the minority, you and I, about road racing. That's the minority. A lot of NASCAR fans don't want road racing. They don't like it. They don't want street courses. But there is absolutely 0%, I think, chance that you're not introducing new people by doing road racing and street racing.
Yeah.
You're going to get 0 new interest if you're staying and doing the same stuff that they've been doing for 20 years. To me,
or longer.
Essentially 21 years. It's been the same schedule. There's been maybe 1 or 2 tracks that have changed, but the reality of it is, I think you and I are in agreement on this. showcase more touring series, because that's how you get sponsors from the small divisions to move up.
Yeah.
Can the 3-division ARCA series, that doesn't work. It's not going to work. That series is dead, and that series has been dead for over 15 years. Okay, it's done. You've got to do something to fix it. Maybe they make a spec car that's very, very cheap. Do the RS1 method where you can rent cars, but it's not working. It isn't. That's why you have the teams like Bobby Gerhardt, Frank Kimmel going away.
Yeah.
Because they can't sustain it. Cars should not be, and sponsorship should not be multi-million dollars a race. It shouldn't be $25,000 a race. Hell, most sponsorship shouldn't be even that close. But the way that they're looking at it, Graydon, is this new car is going to be the savior, and that's my problem. Is they're only looking at it, oh, it's the car's fault. It's the car's fault, and that's the track's fault. It's the track's fault. No.
No, it's not. Not at all.
It's your fault, because NASCAR was in charge of all this and they fucked it up.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's right. I mean,
they're the ones.
The cars don't build themselves, and the rules don't write themselves.
They let
that's right.
all of this happen.
Yeah,
they let all of it happen, and now it's almost like it's too late. It comes across that way. It seems like it's too late for them to make a change, because you lost all the interest that they had. And we talked about this with Matt Weaver. You don't have major corporations coming into it anymore. You don't. What are the new sponsors that are coming in? Companies I've never heard of.
Which are mostly business-to-business relationships with the teams. So you don't necessarily need to hear of them, which is a problem.
It is.
Because it's a consumer-based economy, like for the sport. I mean,
yeah,
there's a disconnect happening left and right because of that.
You constantly have people bitching on Bubba Wallace. So why are people sponsoring Bubba Wallace? And, why are people doing this? And he doesn't want to do interviews. And he doesn't. Do people not know what racing and sports is like? It's a multi-race, multi-gender thing. It's not the white man sport. I'm sorry. You can say that baseball is, you can say that hockey is, but then again, you wouldn't be watching those sports clearly if you said that, because you'll know that it's a multicultural, multi-gendered sport. NASCAR is no different. Racing is no different. What I want to see, Simona Di Silvestro in that female-led Paretta Motorsport or Paretta Autosport, be consistent, win races, and Roger Penske partner with them. That's where you want to know why we don't see ethnic drivers and why we don't see female drivers in successful rides. It's because no one's given them an opportunity to be in them. And that's the end of the story. That's it. If we had gotten if Catherine Legge or Simona Di Silvestro were in a Penske racing car 15 years ago, we wouldn't be having this story. If Danica Patrick, well, you could say, yeah, she wasn't really great when she was in Andretti Autosport. Fine. One example of a driver that maybe was moved over too late, but she was successful. Why don't we have it in NASCAR? Because nobody with funding gets behind female drivers, and look at what happened to Hailie Deegan. So, what was she with originally? Toyota. Toyota had Venturini Motorsports.
Mm-hmm.
They had Joe Gibbs Racing. They had Cobbush Motorsports. But clearly, they didn't have any room for her. So she went to Ford. Mm-hmm. Ford could have put her in Penske equipment right away in the Xfinity series. They could have. They could have put her in Thor Sport, which was top Ford equipment. But no, they put her with David Gilliland's team, which isn't top equipment. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. And now they're realizing, oh, you know what? People would actually watch our sport if we went to road courses, if we changed the car up. People would actually change it if we raced in the rain or added a female driver or added a black driver. God forbid we made a change. And now they're realizing, oh, you know what? That probably would work. It's a little late. It befuddles me. It befuddles me. Great and Bun. We had 3 races this weekend at Cota. I was surprised. The racing was good. I think the racing was very honestly.
Yes, it was. I think it was great.
I was shocked. I did not expect it to be. And you know what it was too? Is the drivers made a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of mistakes. Overdriving the corners, hitting the curbs too hard. You had one thing that was really great. You had mechanical failures again, which we don't see.
Attrition like that is
attrition. Yeah. Exactly. It was so nice. Then you had the weather come in. You had to make changes. You had to decide when you're going to put on tires. You decide when you're going to pit. Racing can be really good. A, B, C, D, or failure for the truck race.
I think it wasn't a failure. I mean, it wasn't a barn burner. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go right now. It just like the leader has every advantage and they get away. I don't know how that changed. I don't know what the answer to that is, but as you said, if you look beyond, like I said, the officiating glitches or whatever you want to call it, and the truck races, the Xfinity race, and the Cup race, even there is some good pure racing, and I think that's what road course racing brings. Whether you're a fan of it or not, I'm going to say that if you look at it, look past what you hate about it and just look at the purity of it. So getting back to your truck thing, I give it wasn't like a barn burner. I give it like a solid B. I mean, it was above average in terms of excitement for me. So yeah, I would say it was a solid B.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect Tagliani to win the pole. I had no inkling that he was going to win the pole at all, actually. I think Brett Holmes and Sam Mayer surprised once again. Did very, very well. I'll be honest with you, I can't remember who even won. Who the heck won the race?
Oh my God, I need the bun suns there to remember.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, was it that it wasn't that great? No, I thought it was good, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a knock 'em down fantastic, but I wouldn't go and say I was bored.
No.
I thought it was a very, very interesting race. I think having different drivers makes it a little bit better. Having drivers you don't know, adds a little bit more excitement to it. I was a little bit bummed that we didn't see, I think having a qualifying that actually knocked drivers out was the most fun.
That's what I wanted to touch on too before we got away. It was that
I gotta change the blinds. It's getting my eyes here. So continue.
I have met I'm all for limiting practice, but I think qualifying needs to be back in the weekend routine. I think seeing having them fight it out for the pole position is, and like you said, the TV production needs to be behind that idea and really help sell it. But I mean, it adds to the race day sort of package when they qualify. I don't like all this random draw or whatever mathematical formulas they use to arrive at their starting grid. I'm all right with limiting practice. I mean, it conserves resources from an environmental standpoint, if you want to go that far with it. But I mean, I just like the fact that they are less prepared than going out there and spending hours on end doing laps and burning up tires and fuel when you don't need it. Like, line them up, see who's the fastest, who gets the pole, and then let them eat on race day. That's a far more compelling package for the fans, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that owner points play a role, but I'm still I'm really old fashioned this way. And I guess it's the one thing I can't say I'm old fashioned about. But to me, your fastest need to be the ones in the race, not whoever's got more points. The 34,
Yes.
Wallace Allen and Roger Rios, they didn't need to be in that truck race. They were so slow compared to some of the other names, you know? And so like that aspect, I don't really agree on. Same type of situation with like Williams, like obviously Josh, he wasn't quick, but there's just something that I don't know, something that I didn't really appreciate, which was teams using cup guys to make the race. And I'm okay with using a road racer that for the race, but a cup guy, and this is where I brought it up earlier in the broadcast, which was how many IndyCar drivers go to Indy Lights to try out their luck on a track before the race? How many NBA players go to a lower division to run to play a game before they play the big game?
Yeah.
That's just, they don't do that. So doing it again, it's still rewarding those big teams. Now, what I really liked was the guys that did it the right way. They didn't go to their top big teams. I liked that about this, which was Kevin Harvick going into BJ McLeod's equipment.
Yeah.
That was amazing because that's what it used to be. It used to be the cup guys going into the small team equipment, not into Joe Gibbs equipment. Like Kyle, like Kyle being in Joe Gibbs equipment was kind of like, okay, well, I'm not going and shitting on Kyle. Like Kyle was the best. He was the overall best. But if I had to pick, I would much rather see them go into being like Mike Harmon's equipment or BJ McLeod's or DGM than them being in cup equipment. Because I think it's a better story. I think it makes it more fun.
I think, I 150% agree. And I don't know if that's like a Ford thing
it was
or how.
Todd Gilliland. Thank you, Maddie. Todd
Gilliland. Right.
Gilliland.
That's who it was. Like how they, like if it's just Harvick knows BJ and they just got together and said, hey, let's do this. So I don't know, due to the fact that all these guys are contractors, how they would legislate. But I think the idea of that, when you're talking about the model of it, that's what would make sense. Like if these guys Kyle Busch comes down to add to his win total. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
And
he's getting to 100, and that's when he says he's done. So,
and I get that, like, because the way the sport works allows him to set that goal and try to go for it, which is great. But I think, and this comes at the expense of like a complete deconstruction, but I mean, they're tearing pretty good into their model now, but like to kind of help settle this ongoing, everlasting, should cup guys come down and run the Xfinity race, if they could and I guess we're talking about rules and how they get out of hand. Maybe this is just another one, but if a cup guy is going to come and run the Xfinity race, try and run. I mean, not every person that's in the Cup Series is a top tier driver that comes to run with it. So see how murky it gets. You can't draw a line anywhere for it to make a clear division. So, I mean, that part is hardly, I don't know if you could ever get that sort of reined in, except for the like how you say it, like no open wheel or not. I don't want to say nobody does it, but it's not made a big deal. Like watching the number one division driver go to number two all the time. Like you don't
NASCAR see it ever in IndyCar. You don't see it in Formula One. Why is it okay in NASCAR?
Yeah, that's where if they really want to address it, Unified Motorsports as a whole has to call out NASCAR and say, hey, why do you guys do this? And why is this okay? Like, that's the only way it seems like it would ever go away.
And you can say that, they do it for sponsorship, but
yes.
Look at the difference. Okay. How many trucks did not have sponsorship this weekend and had Marcus Lemonis bail them out?
Yeah. A lot of Good Sam and
a lot. Even Xfinity.
Yeah.
Even Brandon Brown.
Yep.
And it's not a team problem. It's a NASCAR problem. They can't get the sponsors to help teams. And if they're relying on only the teams to do it, that's not right. NASCAR should be trying to do whatever they can to get some of these sponsorships. I look at some of these companies that are sponsoring hockey even. All those companies that we put on the SNS podcast team cars that I made yesterday. None of them are in racing. None.
No.
None of them sponsor a race car. It's a problem that racing will need to fix. And I know that there's a lot of people talking like, I still feel it's speed with the death of Speed Channel came the death of racing. You had it all available. You had a way to track all sorts of racing. You had a way to see all of it. You had a way. Okay, you're ruining my calendar.
It definitely screwed it up for Canadians, that's for sure.
Well, we have to get stuck with that shitty Fox Sports.
Yeah, regurgitated crap. Yeah.
And the racing as a whole can be great. But Graydon, I don't know if they have. I feel like they waited too late. Like I really, because now you've got a fan base that you're going to have a division. And listen, one thing I want to make sure that's perfectly clear is NASCAR Twitter is not as toxic as people think it is.
It's no more toxic than any other
NHL
sports forum. Yeah.
If you are a Leafs fan, just go on a social media and you get crap. Matthew Hall in this chat will give me crap for being a Leafs fan.
Yeah.
I'll give him crap for being a Sens fan. If you think NASCAR is toxic, go to the UK and talk about football. Good. You could get stabbed in the UK if you're supporting the wrong team in the wrong area. Same situation here with hockey. Boston Bruins fans in 2011 that were actually ended up in a hospital because they were wearing a Bruins jersey during the Cup final. It is in all sports. But one thing that we have to do as NASCAR fans is to stop tearing each other apart. There's so much hostility. There's so much negativity. And I understand that what we did today, we were upset. We chatted. Are we not going to support NASCAR anymore? No. Are we yelling to make our voices heard? Yes. There's a difference.
Yeah. I feel like we're bringing to light that this is doable because we see it here. We would see it this weekend if this was a normal year, except for the fact it was a beautiful weekend for racing and it didn't rain hardly at all. But
of course,
yeah, we're to bring this to the Pinty series. I mean, there's so many things for the economic environment we're in and seeing the series trying to get its feet underneath it for after what's been a tough couple of years. It's hard to watch for one, but what we're doing here, beating their drum, is saying like, there's so many things that our series does right that the big leagues don't down south that they could take notes from. That's all, at least what I'm saying from my end of it. We're dumping on the Cup series. Yeah. And the trucks in the Xfinity series to an extent, but at the same time, we're just trying to bring to light the fact that there are certain things that already do exist within the NASCAR umbrella that they could just that is translatable to what they're doing down there. It could help with a far better product. Even our series, I'll say, like, we haven't seen local cautions in our series in a long time either. I mean, they really need to look at local cautions again. We're starting into a whole other tangent here, but I mean, there's so many things that they could polish on to make the product really quite good. I mean, for the parity, like for the competition that I see in the Cup Series on a track like Circuit of the Americas I saw today, I would watch something like that every week as opposed to watching a snoozer like Dover or something like that.
Yeah.
They just need to polish on where their shortcomings, and I'm in.
Way more invested.
Yes.
Way more invested than I have been in the last 3 weeks, because Dover is not exciting. I am not looking forward to Charlotte or Texas. So
this racing is far more pure in the sense of
way more interesting because it's new.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it.
And for all the reasons you mentioned earlier, the strategy was back. The driver talent was there. Like everything you needed to see was there. It just has to get polished.
Qualifying.
Yep.
Matty said that, and we touched on it. When I go to a race, I want to see every session.
Yes.
I'm not going just to see a race. I want to see qualifying. Or if we go back to the CASCAR days, they call it time trials, which I love. I love them calling it time trials, but time trials, practice, then the lower divisions, you know. But at the same time, I don't want to see the lower divisions at the same tracks as Cup every week. It's boring. It's repetitive. It sucks. So what you do? Fine. Go get the Truck Series on Peacock. Fine. Give it on Peacock and put it on Rev TV Canada. Then what you do? You feature the practice, the qualifying for it, okay? And put it at a track that the Cup and the Xfinity Series aren't going to.
Yeah.
Make it its own thing again.
Run it with a management group like the Pinty Series, so it's sort of like its own entity again. Yeah.
Exactly. And like I said to you, ARCA is officially the Ty Gibbs championship season. That's all it is. There's no competition for him this year. Yeah, Corey Heim is there, but the reality of the situation is Ty Gibbs is Xfinity ready. He's not, hell, he might even be Cup ready at the rate that he's going, right? And that's the situation. In all sports nowadays, let's take hockey. Graydon, reality is you used to play to like 43. Most people are like out by 35, 34. Like you're old now. And I always thought of that too. Like when you think about when we watched NASCAR, we were watching Darrell Waltrip, Terry Labonte, Harry Gant, Morgan Shepherd, Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett. How late did some of the guys who drove into their 50s, 60s?
Because they had to make a body of work in a career because they didn't do it from birth like kids are getting born into the world now.
And now drivers start in Cup at 21.
Yeah.
And race until they're 35. Like, when you really believe this, Kyle Busch I believe he turned, what was it, 30? I have to look it up because when I heard what he actually
I think he's 34 or something.
I was like, are you serious? Like, he's still like that. He's 36.
Oh, is he?
He's 36. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's so old. That's 6 years older than I am.
And 4 years younger than me.
And 4 years. And that's not old.
And I'm a long way from retiring.
I know, so am I. And then you go like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like Tony Stewart retired at 43. 44. Jimmy Johnson at 46, maybe. I think he was 46 or something.
And another wrinkle to this is that all those names you mentioned were in the era where they were in the sport for a long time, commanded respect, commanded a certain salary. And this is the sort of conundrum or storyline that Brad Keselowski is finding himself in with Roush now. His stature commands such a dollar that now teams have to really give him a stake in the team to compensate for. So what's happening anyways now is young kids are coming up to Cup that
Mhm.
are not going to make as much money in Cup.
No.
And you're going to be out sooner. So this is like a whole other thing that never ever happened before, is they got to think about what their next career is going to be, because they may not
Absolutely.
make have the fortune. And if they're mediocre at best, they might not even have a
And
whole career in Cup. They could
I'm
be
looking
out
at
on their
this.
ass in a couple of years
I'm
and
looking
doing
at this,
real
buddy.
estate.
I'm looking at this. Like, listen to this shit. Like, if you think about this, next year, okay, 2022 is the new car. This is where we're possibly heading next year. The 00, Quinn Half doesn't have a contract for next year, so that could be open.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Busch, I believe, is retiring at the end of this year because they posted that commercial. The 1 car is going to be available. Brad Keselowski apparently going to the 6. That's going to be available. And we just started, and there's already 3 cars available for next year. Then you've got Dylan, he'll be there. Harvick, what's going to happen with Harvick? He's been crap this entire year, you know. Larson, is he going to get a different sponsor for next year? Keselowski, could he move to the 6? Then you've got the 7. Then you've got the 8, 9. The 10 is going to be available. Then we know, you know, Hamlin back in the 11. Then what's going to happen with the 12? If something's going to happen with the 2, you know, what happens with Cindric? Does Cindric still go to the 20? Like, silly season is going to be epic this year.
And, oh, by the way, this can also create opportunities with other disciplines, with NASCAR driver current contracts coming up and a new car that lends itself more to sports car discipline. There's better opportunities for maybe seeing some fresh faces that you don't normally see.
You know who I'm thinking? Kaz Grala is going to get a Cup ride.
I hope Kaz Grala gets a Cup ride.
The performance that he put in that Young's 02 this week.
Yeah.
I put him in the 00.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would do I really think he would do very, very well in Starcom racing. I think he'd look fantastic with Charlie. I think they'd, you know, he's not to shit all over Quinn Half, but I think the Quinn Half experiment is kind of it's run its course. And I think that team needs somebody. If they're going to bring things back, this is the thing. They're talking like this car is going to even out the field. It's a spec car.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes way more into the driver's skill than any time it has before. And I'm sorry, but that ain't going to cut it for next year. It's not. And I think that 1 car, I would not be shocked if John Hunter Nemechek goes back home to Ganassi, or if you see somebody from like Noah Gragson, you know, go over to a Chevy. Because there's not really an opening at Hendrick, because I don't think Bowman's going anywhere. I think Ally really likes Alex Bowman. And I think Gregson is either going to either JTG or he's going to Ganassi. Mm-hmm. And where do you see Gregson being? I see him being a very aggressive driver. Do I think that Ganassi would want him and Ross Chastain? Maybe not. And that's why I think John Hunter's a bit safer for them to take.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest with you, Grade Man. I want to see new numbers. I want to see I want to see people really, you know, because we talked about this with Weaver, and Weaver was saying how, you know, the 24 is always going to be Jeff Gordon. Exactly. It is always going to be Jeff Gordon to me. I want to see them use individual numbers, like something that's not been used.
Yeah.
You know, why not a 64 like Mark Dilley, you know, a number that we never see. The 60s never get used, right? See, Ganassi's been the 1 in the 42 forever. Mm-hmm. Change it up, make it interesting, you know? That's what I'd like to see. Same with they're talking about like Keselowski going over to the 6. I'm like, man, I want to see the 6 and the 17 again. You know, do something interesting. Go over to the 97 and the 17 again.
Or somebody did like a render for a 97, I think, recently. I saw.
Yeah.
But it would be, like dust off some of the old numbers that you don't see too often.
Yeah, because that's what they did with the 5, right? We brought the 5 back. But I'm like, this isn't any different. We've seen this. Do the number 25 for Larson.
Yeah, I would have really liked to have seen the 25.
I would have loved the 57 for Kyle Larson. Because it's different. It's not the same repetitive BS, because you're not going to get anybody interested if it's the same thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's what Matt was talking about, like the number is the most recognized. That's true. But it's most recognized and tied to
past. So shifting stuff over is going to be a problem because people are used to seeing the 3 car the way it used to look, the 24 car the way it used to look, 17 car it used to look, the 18 the way it used to look. But if you have different numbers, things that maybe people haven't seen in a while, you can make it look very slick, make it look very interesting. Like for me, I'd love the 47 and the 59 for JTG. You know, that 59, man, I loved the Kingsford car.
Yeah.
Loved the Kingsford car in the Busch series. Change things up. And we haven't discussed, Graydon, the possibility that Cowlick might not be alone in moving up to Cup next year. I mean, there's talk that Junior Motorsports, I don't really see it. Considering and this is the key thing, Junior has paid drivers. As much as people want to, say that he's in a great position, he's not. He's not. And he hasn't been, because how many of those drivers have their own funding?
That's right.
All of them.
All of them, yeah.
Except for Josh Berry.
Yeah, he's a special exception. But I mean, yeah, and like you said, like they're working to try and get him in a car. Like it's not even set in stone for him. Like you say, they have pay-to-play drivers, and it's nice to see the teams performing well and running up front and winning. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's not Junior pumping money. Like if those drivers with those companies weren't there, then he'd be in the same boat. He's Dale Jr. So,
and Maddie brings up a good point that John Hunter is more than likely going to go to the 23 XI team, which is probably true because he's in a Toyota team right now. The chances are that he would move straight up back up to Cup and when he's ready. But, and again, for me, John Hunter is Cup ready. He is. And I think we could tell based off of how Alfredo's run, 38 is not a Cup really ready off effort. It's in the Cup series, but it's not that great. Like it's just, he's struggling just as much as John Hunter did.
That's right. Yeah, it shows that it wasn't John Hunter's issue.
No, it is the team. A, B, C, D, or fail for the Xfinity series. For me, it was a D. I thought it was going to be a very exciting race because I thought it was going to rain. And that kind of tells you this is where the problem lies in with Cota, is that I was looking more excited for the rain than I was the actual race.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a D. And the only reason it was a dud is because Kyle Busch got out in front and nobody was able to catch up to him. And that's what I fear. I fear that for the future. Now, hopefully this new car, there's not going to be much aero and they're all specs, so it's going to be all driver related. But I mean, even LaBay, man, he was not able to stay up near the front. He didn't finish in the top 10.
No.
He dropped like a rock when he was up there. So
I
know, man.
Yeah.
What do you got to go with?
Yes, it wasn't as good as I had kind of built it up to be in my mind. Like I always kind of expect the Xfinity series to sort of carry the weekend for me, really. And it kind of fell short of that with Kyle Busch's domination. But then once I thought Kyle Busch was in the field, I was like, well, if his car is any good today, it'll be his to lose. But I mean, as I said through this, when you got to see some of the battles that were going on, I did like what I saw there. At the end of the day, it was sort of just average. So it was probably about a C, I guess. There's a lot of things that they really do need to brush up on to get the road course package from TV and from the racing standpoint right up to par.
Finally,
I was just saying, like, what the end game is, like, I'm just thinking out loud is that this new car for the Cup Series is great, but how does this trickle down? I mean, this is stimulating all this stuff that you're talking about. ARCA's not going to afford a new car. That'll break all the friggin' teams that are left. And it's not even a sustainable series at this point anyways. I think this is going to be, they're greasing their own wheels, if you will, to really make some tough decisions and figure out what's sustainable and what isn't, because they're going to have to. Anyway.
Finally, the Cup Series, B plus, but then the end happened, makes it a C. And the reason I'm going to say C is, and I'd say I think NASCAR failed everybody, because I don't think the drivers were prepared. And I think that NASCAR, while they thought this would be a nice and easy transition based off of what happened at the Roval last year and here today, they need to install lights on the cars when they go road racing. I think there has to be some sort of a plan, because it is not safe to just have a rear light flashing.
A bicycle light.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
It doesn't work. And whether they need to change it to so it's an LED or it's something that's really, really bright.
LED taillight bar right across the back.
Something like that, yeah. And somebody suggested actually that they use the underglow that they used at the All-Star race. I'm like, that's actually kind of genius, because they wouldn't have an issue seeing a car then, because you'd have the color, right? I'm done with gimmicks, so I feel that they could very well have lights made. I don't know how easy that would be for these cars, because we know that they're not actually fitted with lights. They're not.
No, they don't have to be like wear the stickers. Like if they're just some sort of like, just like how that stupid beacon light is now, like have a light bar across the bottom of the back window. That's just a red bar across, so that you can see that far brighter. And then even like across the base of the windshield, or like at the bottom of the hood or something, an LED strip across the front. That's just something to like light them up a little bit, and even have the underglow just for added, like take the aesthetics out of it, just for added safety to make them a little more visible. I mean, if you have to consider everything when you're running in different weather than ideal race conditions. So, I mean, this all has to be looked at if they're going to proceed with, and not every race is going to rain, but it's just stuff that they have to have available, just like they have the wiper on the car at the ready. They can have the lights on the car and never turn them on. It doesn't matter. It just, they need to have some stuff that doesn't necessarily have to be super expensive.
Well, and if people know anything about road racing, is that you don't need to have wipers.
Whelen sponsors a series.
Jeez. Yeah, and I think we know that, like, I've been to a Pinty's race where the driver didn't even use his wiper. They know how to do it, like tag, and especially like the Dumoulins and Ranger, man, it rains in Quebec a lot. And they also race in the snow.
They look through the windshield, like through the weather, and just look at the task at hand.
I listen to some of the stuff.
Amazing focus.
The fans complain. You have to remember, like, this is new for NASCAR.
Yeah,
they haven't done this. That's why the dirt thing, like, oh, just take the windshields out. No, you idiots. No. Because you have a piece of metal that comes off a car, it's still going to go through the windshield. Like, come on. Yeah. People have to think with their heads. It's new. NASCAR is trying to do things different, but obviously there are some things you can't prep for. Right? We can't prep for this because you don't know until the race happens. My friend, you're hurting.
Yeah. I'm getting uncomfy.
I can tell. It is 8:00.
Is it?
We are done. I've been at this.
Yeah, you've been at this for a while, bud.
2 hours and 43 minutes.
Jesus.
We've had 129 views and 1 like. Woo! It doesn't matter. As long as we had some people that came in and viewed us for a little bit, give us a like, give us a subscribe. I got to figure out, I was not feeling very well most of the day. I had a major headache and Advil saved me. So I'm feeling like there's going to be a lot that comes out of this. Harvick said it was the most dangerous. He's full of shit.
Yeah.
I love you, Harv, but don't Don't.
Yeah, that was dramatic.
You've done a lot more dangerous. Same with Truex. You guys have raced at Talladega and Daytona where legitimately people have been injured. Legitimately people have died. Okay. Yes, people have died road racing too.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is they didn't today. Custer did something stupid. Truex did something stupid. Kurt Busch did something stupid. But it all comes down.
And one hell of a recovery for Kurt, I must say. That was awesome. Like, he was losing it, but like how he salvaged that and made it through the gravel trap back out.
An inch away from killing Kyle's race.
That was amazing.
And
man, it was like a cartoon.
I think it would have been all-star race, all-star wreck all over again. And they wouldn't talk to each other for another couple of years. But, I think that next year, if it were me, I want Kurt Busch and Clint Boyer in the booth.
I do like Kurt.
I don't think Jeff. He's never going to be comfortable. He's just not that guy. He's just not. So I think we go next year.
And he doesn't need a paycheck. He's all right.
No, he'll be like I said, I had more confidence that maybe Jimmy Johnson would be taking over Hendrick Motorsports and him and Jeff Gordon, but it looks more like it's going to be Junior. So, obviously Matty was a fan of who won the race today, I would assume, although he's more of a Byron guy, but
Owen picked Chase.
He's born Byron and Chase. So
yeah.
Who won in your household today? I didn't actually end up seeing the.
Owen picked the winner.
Did he?
Yep. Allmendinger, though, I picked Dinger and he finished fifth. So
I had Reddick, and he was doing well, and I had Reddick before he won the pole.
Mm-hmm.
So I was feeling really good.
He's on my fantasy teams. He's been my little performer usually.
So next week we're in Charlotte. Somebody said there is qualifying next week. I didn't think that there would be. But I guess because it's the 600 there is. I don't know. But I just want to say the best part of this weekend was seeing Jordan Anderson and seeing that team be able to make the race.
I love that car too.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Preston Artis's team being able to make the race. Brett Holmes and Sam Mayer doing their thing. And the Bassett's not a fan. But definitely there were some positives from it. Boris said making it in with a killer lap.
Mm-hmm.
Tony still got it. Graydon, we are back next week. Our interview with Matt Weaver coming out tomorrow, if I remember to do so, and if I remember to edit it. But thank you so much for joining us on the channel. Our live stream is wrapping up here. Make sure you tune in, and we will catch you all real soon. Maddie, thank you Thanks so much for moderating once again.
Thanks, bud.
And we'll catch you guys all real soon. Really appreciate if you guys could throw us a like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Everybody have yourselves a great night, and we will chat with you all real soon.
Peace.